Hello and welcome to this tutorial on significant culture theories and models by FHNW Zentrum Schreiben. In this video we will present an overview of some selected culture models and theory, providing you insight into the specifics, context and particularities, but also the usability of these approaches. Culture models provide different perspectives and look at different aspects of society and life. It's important to remember that theories and such models, they simplify, they visualize, they categorize, and they help us understand better by providing a source of comparison. But this always is done on the cost of generalization. We've taken some of the most popular culture theories and put them in 4 categories. We have the work of Geert Hofstede and Trompenaars, which look at value patterns. Some of the early work and research done in the field of culture theory was done by Schalholm Schwarz and Klockholm Strodberg, looking at variations of value orientations. Then we have work done by linguists and anthropologists, Richard Lewis and Edward T. Hall, looking at culture elements and communication. And lastly, the Globe Project, which looks at leadership and expectations towards leadership from a culture perspective. Richard Lewis developed 3 typologies in the 1990s after visiting 135 countries and working in more than 20 of them. And he came to the conclusion that humans can be divided into 3 clear categories based not on nationality or religion, but on behavior. And he named these typologies the linear active, multi-active, and the reactive patterns. It's a very helpful tool to understand humans on a behavioral level and to understand what are sources of motivation towards behavior. Franz Trompenaar and Charles Hamden Turner come from a business perspective. Their business-oriented research on value dimensions was based on a set of dilemma scenarios or problematic situations that they asked more than 30,000 informants in 47 countries to investigate. They were asked to make choices of specific scenarios. This is a very well-known study and praised for its contribution in understanding globalization, and it's often taught in intercultural workshops, also in the business sector. The first 5 dimensions focus on relationships, and the last 2 focus on time management and society's relationship with nature. Probably the most famous culture theory framework is the one provided by Geert Hofstede from the Netherlands, culture dimensions theory. He's a Dutch social psychologist and engineer, and one of his most notable accomplishments is the establishment of culture dimensions theory, which provides a systematic framework for understanding differences between nations and cultures. The theory is based on the idea that value can be placed upon 6 cultural dimensions. The weakness and oft criticized aspect of this study is that it was done within the context of IBM only. And the question that arises is, to what extent does organizational culture inform and influence or shade the results of his work? Schalholm Schwarz developed the theory of basic human values. He takes a more psychological approach and identifies 10 basic personal values that apply universally, looking at needs and social motives, but also at institutional demands which are recognized worldwide. His work has gained wide recognition, is often cited in the academic field, is perhaps a little bit more challenging to apply than some of the other theories because it has not been categorized or conceptualized in a very easy to access manner for students or professionals. Klockholm and Strodberg came up with the value orientations theory. Their work is one of the earliest and provides the basis for a lot of the research that was done later by others. They proposed a theory of culture based on value orientations, arguing that there's very limited number of problems which are actually common to all human groups and for which there are limited numbers of solutions. So they look at values and choices humans have to make on how to deal with those values or specific tasks that humans then need to accomplish based on them. Edward T. Hall is an American anthropologist who explains in his research the differences of communication styles amongst cultures. He looks at context, high and low context communication, and how we deal with time and space. He is noted for how he has integrated nonverbal aspects of communication, which many other theories and models neglects to integrate. The GLOBE study is a long-term study which integrates the theory of relationship between culture and societal, organizational, and leadership effectiveness. The GLOBE study is designed to help understand clusters of culture groups and to understand the expectations also towards leadership in those cluster groups. This is an extensive long-term study covering more than 62 countries. When choosing to work with culture models, it's important to remember to explore what was the intention of the persons developing this model, what were they out to explore, which questions were they asking themselves, because most models have important factors that they contribute to our understanding of culture, but it's always specific to a set of questions. It's important to choose the right level of generalization. Cultures are complex. How much complexity can we embrace, and how much do we need to go right down, zero in on specifics, taking to risk of stereotyping or oversimplifying cultural issues? And take the different strengths and weaknesses of a model into consideration by looking at what these researchers were praised for and what they're criticized for in their models. The pitfall of exploring and analyzing cultures is that the danger is of simplification to a manner that it distorts the accuracy of what we're actually out to explore and to ask ourselves. So it can tend to look very simple and interesting and convincing, but maybe inaccurate because we're oversimplifying something that is a bit more complex. Thank you very much for your interest. If you have further questions or ideas for future tutorials, please contact Zentrum Schreiben and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.